Hey everybody, welcome to the Connection Hub, and if you're returning, welcome back. Today I'd like to talk about art, specifically watercolor brushes, and what I have learned in terms of belonging and purpose. And then I want to flip the script using the same concept and look at it from a perspective of expectations that we place in general. All right. So imagine you are an artist, a watercolor artist, and you have your paintbrushes. They are all delicate. They are all different for different functions, and used with watercolor, they are designed to flow, to bloom, to bleed, to be layered, to create beautiful art pieces. But unbeknownst to you, you've been handed a canvas that has been primed for acrylic paint. And so you start painting with your beautiful paintbrushes, expecting certain results. But no matter how hard you try, it just doesn't seem to work. It doesn't seem to flow. The strokes are looking thin and weak. It is just not what you expect, right? But what happens here is that the artist starts to think that they are just not good enough. They are just not suited to painting. And so let's take this and extrapolate it into the real world in terms of purpose and belonging. Because in this same way that this artist is using the wrong canvas to paint this watercolor painting, many times we are placed in situations that require something of us that is not aligned to who we are. And even though we continue to try to be something that we're not, perhaps you're an introvert that is expected to walk the room and chat to everybody. Perhaps you are an emotionally measured person, and yet you are expected to be quite expressive with your emotions. But where this is leading us to is that if you are constantly in an environment that requires you to be someone that is not true to your nature, and this could be a parent-child relationship, this could be a relationship with a significant other, this could be at your workplace. And if you continually show up in an environment that is not suited to your own sense of well-being and extracting the best out of you, you start to believe that there's something wrong with you. But I think if you had to reconsider, you may want to ask yourself, am I misplaced? Am I operating in the wrong environment? And if you are able to make some changes to find an environment where it is actually conducive to your true nature, take steps towards that. Alrighty. So now we have the same artist, all right, the same paintbrushes in terms of painting with watercolor paint, okay? And the artist starts her painting, but instead of dipping these beautiful paintbrushes into watercolor paint, she dips it into acrylic paint. And she tries to paint and to use the strokes that is required for using these delicate brushes, but it is just not working. And the paint is just not flowing in the way that it is supposed to flow, for example, with this brush when you have to make blooms. This is called a bloom brush. And she starts to get frustrated with the brushes. But the brushes are not the problem. The problem is the expectation that she has of the brush because this is not an acrylic brush. This is a watercolor brush. So she's trying to use it in a way that it is not intended to be used for. And so this can be applied to relationships as well. When we meet people, we see the potential, we see a specific magic in them, we see what they can be according to our understanding of the world. And so we start projecting onto them who we want them to be, expecting them to show up in that way. And this is such an important lesson for me personally. Because what ends up happening is that we get disappointed, we get let down, but we don't get let down by the person. We get let down by our own expectations of what we thought this person was supposed to be or how they were supposed to show up in relation to our consciousness. And so we have to ask ourselves very honestly, the expectations that I am setting up or that I'm operating from, are they realistic? Am I truly seeing people for who they are and the way they're showing up, or the way that I want them to be and show up to create comfort in my consciousness? Am I able to reevaluate? Because we are doing ourselves and the other a disservice when we expect them to go against their true nature and who they are and what they are designed to be here for, to bring into our lives. We have to meet people where they are. We have the power and the control to change our perception and to operate from a place of wisdom, meaning we find the person where they're at and we meet them there. And we would hope that people would do the same for us in terms of where we are, who we are, and meet us and be in relationship to us where our consciousness lies. And so here we have two concepts which are connected in my view, both illustrating and using paintbrushes or watercolor paint as the base to teach us that if we are the right brush in the right environment with the right circumstances, that will lead to us feeling a sense of belonging. And similarly, the expectations of the brush, let it be aligned to what it is designed for, not what you think it should be. Hopefully this is going to give you food for thought this week. I'm sending this message to you with much love.